You know, I've been thinking of this game for quite some time. That is Doodle World. Doodle World is a NES game that came out as a indie title, which was made by one guy, but there's a story behind this game and how it actually came about. Before the game even came out, let's talk about how this whole idea came about. The guy who developed the game, before he even developed the thing, him and his daughter were playing games and somehow this inspired him to make games. So, believe it or not, his own daughter ended up creating some of the game characters as you'll see in the game. So we got Doodle, who's the good guy, and you got the evil King Eraser, and he's a very mean eraser if you ask me. This was originally just an NES game, but it also came out on Steam and Nintendo Switch as a deluxe package. What I mean is that there's a remix or a rearranged version of the game which introduces new music and other stuff. But originally, let's talk about the original version. I'll compare that to the remix version, as I will just say that right here. So, it's also on the Evercade system, which it's under the Indie Heroes 1 package, which I'm sure is going to be an Indie Heroes 3 package in terms of the remix one. So let's talk about the first one. It kind of plays like Mario, so you kind of know what you're doing. The levels are short, easy, but not easy at the same time, but it really depends. Yeah, but these levels are pretty short. All these things look like it was made from if a kid made the game, but that's the whole point. But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. At least it's creative and different than any other game I've seen out of everything that I've played. There are these crayons that you collect. Well, it helps you get lives. There's also these special these little papers, these note papers you can find, which will access you to these special rooms where you get a big amount of crayons. And after that, you can complete a level. So essentially, it's kind of like you play Mario, but it's all Doodle stuff. In case you guys are also familiar with the star power-up, this is there too, but in this little crayon. It's another crayon, I'm not making this up. But the only problem is that the duration is way too short, and I was hoping for the redrawing to fix that, but it didn't. But all I can say is just watch your timing when trying to hit the enemies with it, because you have no idea when it's going to expire. There are also boss fights in the game, but they ain't that hard to complete. They're pretty easy, to say the least. Especially the final boss. But it's going to take you a couple of minutes, maybe 10 to 20 minutes to complete. But that's not a bad thing. It gives you something to do. The remix version of the game, which I'll just say this about the game. It's the same game, but it's supposed to be a lot more difficult, as you could say. Because there's normal and there's kids mode. Kids mode is supposed to be the shorter version of normal, and that's pretty much it. There's supposed to be lesser levels, and normal mode, well, any of the levels you play are practically the same, but they made it more difficult. They also have double jumping and some sort of redesign of the sprites, so I could tell that there's a bit of differences. If you look at the Doodle Man himself, they especially improved that one. It's still going to be in the same duration, and I think you guys will enjoy the game as much as I did. So, if you guys are thinking of getting a game for a kid, get Doodle World. If they like platforming games, like Mario, Sonic, and whatever else. So, Doodle World is definitely the game you guys definitely get. So, all I can say is, even if you do play both of them, you can appreciate how much the guy has put some effort to the game. And I hope we get ourselves a sequel if that's ever gonna happen. So definitely give this game a check out if you haven't already.